So I am proceeding down the highway in an orderly manner, which is to say I am cruising along the Aylesbury arm of the Grand Union Canal, moving back towards the main thrust of the canal. I've stopped at a lock. This happens on a regular occasion. It shouldn't be a big deal. It was a big deal. So there's me making my way towards the lock. Now, when they're full, you have to empty them. And that involves opening paddles before you can open the gate. So I'd emptied it, and then you can see me opening the gate or trying to do so, and it won't open far enough. There's no way I'm going to get the boat through because there's only about 4 or 5 inches of clearance, if that, on either side. So if the gate doesn't slide into its notch, it ain't happening. So I've realised that there's a massive piece of wood that looks as if it might have come off the gate, and it's floating at water level, which is now 12 feet below me. There's nothing much for it, except I'm just going to have to fill the lock again, and that way the log will become reachable. So there I am, having done that 5 or 6 minutes later, getting in amongst the sludge and dirt and getting this big chunk of wood out, and there was another couple of pieces of debris as well, which I removed. Then emptied the lock again. Now I open the gate, hey, it moves in, and the next step is to move back to the other end of the lock, climb over those gates and make my way back to open the gate that you can see that is still shut. Once they're both open, I can move the boat through. This is a single lock, so it is only just slightly wider than the Narrowboat of 6'10". Now, I like to proceed very, very slowly. It gives you more time to react to mistakes or problems, and it also gives you the opportunity, like I like to do, to jump off just as the rear of the boat reaches the entrance to the lock. I'll jump off, climb up, and I have much more control over the boat using a centre line from above the lock than if I was just inside. Now, there I am, opening the paddles at the front. The back gates I have now closed. And now you see that paddle opens, the boat moves back because of the water surging in. And I'm making a judgment call on how fast the water's moving. I might not open the other paddle, anything to keep it simple. But no, there is quite a lot of undergrowth in the way, so the water is moving quite slowly. And look, if you can look through the gate there, you'll see there is a huge amount of weedery making its way across the canal to eventually actually take up the entire lock entrance. Now I've seen this and I've thought, oh, here we go, and I've gone to get my boat hook, which is a piece of equipment every boat should have. And what I'm going to try and do is see how I can manoeuvre some of this out the way. But I very quickly realised that this isn't just any old weed, this is M&S, thick, solid quality weed. It's clumped, it's got roots, it's got soil, and it's not happening. So the next attempt is to see if I can open the gate and force the boat through the weeds. But what's happened, of course, is the clumpery has got behind the gatery, and now we have a problemery. So good old boat hook again. I realise that's not going to help, and it's down on our hands and knees in this muddy, stinky swamp material basically. Fortunately, I also have a scythe, and I'm going to spend about 15 minutes hacking the weeds behind the gate into manageable little lumps until I've got to the point where I think the gate will open just far enough for me to get the boat through. It's not as comfortable a solution as with the piece of wood in the previous gate. The gate is not going all the way, but it does have a little bit more leeway for me because it's a single gate rather than one half of a double gate set. So at this point I realise I'm going to have to push my luck. I'm going to have to put the boat into higher revs and force my way through. I'm not sure how deep it is, the weeds I mean, but yeah, it's not really what you want to be doing with your boat. Now, unbeknownst to me, quite a lot of the weeds have now become attached to the front of the boat. I can't see it, you can't see it from this camera position, but there, when I stopped to close the lock, a load of the weeds kept moving forward and then moved back. So back with the boat hook, try and get it out of the way because I don't want anyone else to get caught in it. Then after another 5 or 6 minutes, when there's a good 4 foot by 4 foot piece that's just a unit, and I'm like, do you know what, I've done my bit. That's been about 50 minutes. A usual lock transaction on your own would be 15 minutes at the absolute top. So it's been 3.5 times what it should have taken. I'm covered in like smelly, swampy stench. I'm cold, I'm tired, the sun's gone away, it's the last day of summer and it's the first night of autumn, it's getting a bit cold, and there's a lock ahead that I was supposed to be going through because the pub is 2 locks ahead. But do you know what? Nah, I can have a shower, I can walk to the pub, and this day is officially finished. It's not really a big deal when it comes down, it's just another day in the locks, but it was my first experience of actually looking at a situation and going, I'm not sure I know what to do about it, and then realising, well, I'm on my own, I got to deal with it. We live and we learn.